Okay, so I feel like Jayson Tatum doesn't get the respect he deserves for coming off a season where he tore his Achilles, not even a year later, right? And looking like pretty much a better player than he did last season. And we can debate how good Tatum was this season, if he was even better than himself in 2025. But y'all gotta realize, this is a man who tore his Achilles in 2025. When he tore his Achilles, I remember seeing a whole lot of hate. He's not gonna be the same after an Achilles injury. He's not going to be the same after an Achilles injury. Just a whole lot of people saying he wasn't going to be the same player, right? Tatum comes back, not even a year later, which is the craziest part to me. Drops 15 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists in his first game back. Now, that's nearly a triple-double. Yes, he's not going to come back and look like the best version of himself. He's coming off a major injury. And I want y'all to realize, an Achilles injury for most superstars, that derailed their career. Look at Derrick Rose, look at Blake Griffin. There are a lot of NBA players whose unfortunately careers got derailed because of an Achilles injury. Because the whole season, he averages 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. Which is very consistent for a player coming off such an injury, right? And I think his aggressiveness is the best part. He did not look passive at all. Now in the playoffs, that's a different story. I'll get to that later. But basically, Tatum was aggressive the whole regular season. Or when he played at least. He was actually making 3-pointers when he shot them. He was getting to the rim. And he was low-key just bodying people. And I think that's the best part about his game when he does decide to do that. I always thought like, okay, I think Tatum should be a way more physical player. And I thought the ceiling on this dude, it feels to be more physical. I think we're talking about like a LeBron archetype here. Obviously, I'm not comparing him to LeBron, not in the slightest, right? But his play style. A passer, a playmaker, and a tall forward who's fast, athletic, and honestly, bulldozes through people. I always thought that Tatum had the potential to be that. He just didn't lean into it enough. Even during the 2024 run, I thought he was still pretty passive. 2025, that changes, right? Obviously, he tears his Achilles. Then he comes out the year later and almost looks more aggressive than he did in 2025. So it's not about Tatum just coming back from such a scary injury. It's about him learning his lesson and improving. That just shows that, hey, Tatum, he did not hit his peak at all. He's still improving. We still got a lot of stuff to see from Tatum, man. And he ends off the season strong. Going into the playoffs, it's pretty much a different story. Even though Tatum still looked really good some of these games, there were other games where he just didn't. And I think that's fine because, look, looking at that Boston team, I realized that they were never truly contenders. If 5 of your bench players who are vital to your regular season success drop 0 points in a game 7, then what the hell is gonna happen versus a better team in the Knicks? It might have been a 5-game series, and I'm talking about the Knicks gentlemen sweeping the Celtics. And as a Celtics fan, that would have been hell. But Tatum still had his bright moments where he hit a dagger on Philly, right? Dropped 30 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists. Had a lot of good games versus Philly. And it really just showed like, okay, I think Tatum might be a better player than he was last year coming off the injury. Which is again insane because Jayson Tatum is a player who we never thought would have got injured. He was the most durable superstar in the league, and I genuinely believe that. He played every playoff game in the playoffs for the Celtics until he got injured. You think about 2018, he comes in as a rookie, goes head to head with LeBron. Prime LeBron, by the way, his best year. I know that's up for debate to y'all, but let's just say 2018 LeBron is his prime, right? His peak. Jayson Tatum goes head to head with him as a rookie. The next year, goes into the playoffs with Kyrie. Not as consistent, of course, but still decent, right? 2020 leads them to the conference finals. 2021 drops 51 against the Wizards in a play-in to carry them into the playoffs. 2022 has his most legendary postseason run, maybe of all time, to be honest with y'all. Swept the KD and Kyrie Irving Nets, defeated the reigning champion Bucks in 7, defeated the number 1 seeded Heat in 7, and pushed the eventual champion Golden State Warriors to 6. 2023 led them to the conference finals again, probably one of his best scoring seasons. Some people say it's his best season ever, right? 2024, his best playmaking season, won a championship. Notice how he improved at something every season, and that's because he played every playoffs. 2025 comes around, very good versus the Magic, averaged like 30 points. But against the Knicks, tears his Achilles, played less good. People thought it was over. People thought, okay, if Jayson Tatum is getting an Achilles injury, anybody can. And it was an appropriate response because he was a player who played, again, every playoff game. Every year, we're so used to seeing him in the playoffs and having success. But for him to come back this fast, it's just legendary to me. And it feels like nobody's really talking about it. And I get it, we're in the middle of the playoffs. I know some of you are saying, Chaz, why would we talk about it when we got a 7-game series going on? I completely understand. But it gets to a point where it's like, alright, you gotta acknowledge it. Because goddamn, this dude tore his Achilles a year ago. Came back in March. That's insane. That's like 2 months ago. When we talk about a player who is just dedicated, takes responsibility, and honestly one of the most mature people in the NBA. Look, if you use Twitter, which I would advise not to, but if you did, if you remember NBA Twitter back in 2024, 2023, they were shitting on Tatum every chance they could get. And guess what Tatum's response was? Just stay silent and win. He won a championship that year and just silenced other critics, to be honest with y'all. Which just shows how emotionally mature he is, because I feel like a lot of NBA players would have responded. I'm calling out SGA, Anthony Edwards, LeBron James. They probably would have responded to the hate that Tatum was getting. If you do not remember the hate Tatum got before he won a championship, it was something like I've never seen before. I don't even think they were hating Kobe that much. I'ma just keep it real with y'all. Then Tatum comes out, wins a championship, proves everybody wrong. And I know some of you are like, oh, Jazzy had a great team. How did he prove everybody wrong? Well, because after 2023, when everybody was shitting on him, right? Nobody said he will win a championship next year. He goes out and wins a championship. That is proving everybody wrong. He doesn't win Finals MVP, but he was clearly the best player in the series, in my opinion. And it just shows how hated Tatum was. And we go back to 2025, tears his Achilles, comes back not even a year later. And when we want to look at recent examples of players coming off Achilles injuries, we got different outcomes, right? We could look at Kevin Durant coming off the Achilles injury in 2019. Took him 2 years to recover. Tatum, it didn't even take a year. Kevin Durant looked amazing after Achilles injury. Ironically enough, Tatum kind of followed his path, just playing smarter, more of a bucket getter, more aggressive. Then there's the other side of the coin, right? Kobe Bryant off his Achilles injury just didn't look the same at all. And yes, he was old, I get it, but that's still Kobe Bryant, right? So there's two sides to the coin. And Tatum, luckily, and Kobe only came up, and Kobe only spent like 8 months in rehab after coming back to the NBA. So the fact that Tatum pretty much did the same, about 10 months, came back, and looked even better than himself last year, it really speaks volumes to how good he is, the emotional resilience he has, right? And honestly, I'm gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna compare him to Socrates, right? Socrates, a guy who tried to warn everybody, had the best philosopher mind of everybody. I think Jayson Tatum tried to warn us that, hey, I'm gonna come back strong. You saw the Instagram stories, you saw him working out. They even made a documentary about Tatum coming back. That wasn't for no reason. He tried to tell us that, hey, I'm back, Boston's gonna be back to a competitive team. Yes, I know they lost in 7, but next year, we'll see what the Celtics do. He let us know that, hey, I'm back, and I'm gonna be a better version of myself. But that's just my thoughts, man. If y'all enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. And until later, I'll see you on Mars. Peace.
You telling me you falling out of love with me. Hope you can find someone to love you better than I did. Taking our memories on love and treating it like nothing. Taking our memories on love and treating it like gossip. It's my love for my grandmother make me gentle when I care for you. Tell me you're falling out of love, she's breaking my heart in two.